Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody tonight?
First of all, let me start this show by just saying, damn, it's good to be back. We were off last week. We're going to go into that. Actually, what the show is going to be about, because some crazy stuff happened this week while we were, I guess you could say, on vacation, but not really on vacation, and you'll understand that shortly. My co-host, old boy, had a medical emergency take place to where he literally almost died. His appendix kind of went haywire and turned against him and tried to kill him. And he had to be rushed into surgery, and it was a whole ordeal. So obviously, old boy survived because he's here tonight with me and we're doing the show. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw over to old boy, and I'd like to kind of get his story of, first of all, what happened, the surgery, how that went, everything. And then he had some absolutely crazy stuff happen to him after he had this surgery. And we're going to get into a lot of that tonight, and it should be a very interesting show. So with that being said, I'm going to throw over to old boy and let him tell his tale.
Thank you, brother. And thank you, guys. Yes, sorry about last week. Kind of had a little bit of appendicitis. What had happened is last Thursday I had off, and it was going to be Valentine's Day. So I was going to do something with my fiance. That didn't end up happening. I ended up getting a stomach ache around 10:30, 11 that night. And I thought it was I had caught something because my girlfriend was feeling not so good a couple days before that. So I'm like, oh God, I got what she got. So Friday I woke up and I was in some pain, started kind of going away a little bit. And I said, oh, well, see how I feel the next day. Saturday I woke up in extreme pain where I couldn't even move. I couldn't even walk. And it was on my right side. So I'm like, there's got to be something wrong. So it got to the point where I fell asleep and I felt good for a couple hours. I woke up in extreme pain to the point where somebody felt like they were ripping out my groins. I went to the hospital. While I was in the hospital, they did x-rays. Took me to one of those machines and found out that I was going to have my appendix needed to come out. So I sat in the hospital for 6 hours and they sent me down to where I had to go in Ontario, California, in a hospital. And the next day they took out my appendix. And it was getting ready to burst, or I would have died if I would have waited a couple more hours. So I'm lucky I had an infection anyway. I had to have a drain put in my stomach. And when you get that, they put a tube in you through your belly, next to your belly button that goes in about 7-8 inches. It's not pleasant. So I just got that taken out yesterday. I've been better. It's been over 2 weeks now, or about 2 weeks. So I get to go back to work in a week. While I was in the hospital, when they put me under, because when they put you under, you're basically dead. That's why you got to sign a waiver, because 5% of people die or they're allergic to it. So they keep you alive. So when I went in there and they put me to sleep, I woke up. I was groggy. That night, my fiance stayed with me, and we were sitting next to each other, started falling asleep, and I thought she was rubbing my hand. Well, I looked at her, and she was sound asleep. So something was rubbing me, touching me. So that was really weird. And I felt like something was watching me the whole time. But it is a hospital. A lot of people have passed away. There was a big, big hospital. I felt things. It was weird. It was like I got opening up again, and I haven't done this for a while because I used to be able to see my body and I could travel. We've done a show before, guys, and we've talked about it. My girlfriend can do it all the time. When I came home, we both felt something was here, and there was some negative energy. So I had to sage my house to get it out of here because I felt something watching me. I felt something attack me. There's something in me, and I don't like talking about it anyway. And we'll talk about this one time. I'll do a show about it. But whatever was in me did not like what was coming after me. Because I would wake up and I see it again, it was purple, and this thing has done this before. So while I was sick laying in my chair, I had seen my body. I was seeing myself sleep. And I haven't done that for a while. So whatever the anesthesia and then the medicine I was on, it opened me up. It can do that. So I had felt really negativity around me. So I had a dream, but it wasn't because I could see my body. Something was coming at me. It was sitting across from me and it tried to attack me. It didn't work. I've had this happen before, but it has been a long time. So when I went under, it opened something up for a while. Once I got back to normal and got out of me, I saged the house. It went away. but it felt like something. It was negative. It wasn't good, and it was really evil. But we got a hold of it. But then it started trying to mess with my fiance, and because she doesn't like to sleep by walls because she feels like something's trapping her. Because she was having a lot of nightmares too. So then we fixed that, saged the house again, and it's not been as bad anymore. And I really haven't felt nothing anymore. You guys got to realize, I have noticed stuff when you mess with negativity like I have been doing without through my life and with the ghost stuff and demons. This wasn't an accident. I had got diabetes 6 months. I probably had it for a year or two. I am no longer diabetic. I got it in a mission. I mean, I always will have it if I could go back to it, but I got it to the point where I don't have to be on medicine anymore. That's one good thing. So you guys will all know that I no longer have problems with diet because I have lost 56 pounds. I went from 270 in June to now 215, 216. I'm a whole different looking person. I eat differently. The last week or so, I've kind of, I haven't been eating junk, but I kind of, because I'm eating on a lot of antibiotics and strong medicines, I got to eat different. So I'm going to go back to what I was, and I'm going to start going to the gym more. So I'm going to even lose more weight and get more, muscular and stuff like that. But I had to change my life anyway. But I've noticed in the last couple of years since I've been doing with the ghost, a lot of things have happened to a lot of people around me. So when you're doing this stuff, please remember stuff can come back on you. And it's happened to a lot of people, especially with the groups we have. The people have had a lot of bad mishaps, bad things happening, accidents, family members having stuff happen. And I believe it isn't an accident. Some of these people need to realize what they're really messing with. Being famous, I'm not saying everybody, but some people think this is what that's about. Money and being famous is not worth your family's life. If you think that, then you're in the wrong field. Then you're a selfish person. I'm sorry. I don't care about money. I mean, trust me, like I said, it would be nice. But other than that, I love doing this show. And I do it because I love doing it. Everybody would love to be well off and stuff, but it's not my first priority. Helping people and making sure they're not in danger because bad things are coming for them is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to see if we can get peace for whatever this thing is, or if it's a ghost, demon, whatever it is, or get them out of there so it doesn't bother and get into people and ruin people's lives. So I just want people to know that. But I know when I went under, when I came back, I wasn't 100%. Something tried to attack me. It does when I'm weak. When I'm strong, it doesn't bother me because there's something watches over me. But it did try, but it didn't work. So it tries to attack my fiance, but my fiance is learning how to use her abilities with this, like learning how to defend herself. She's a door walker. She walks into a lot of doors and shuts a lot of doors on things. But there is something that calls her. And, we're not, whatever James's beliefs and my beliefs is, we have a common understanding. He believes in what he believes. I believe in what I believe. So does my old lady. We deal with things differently than James does, but we are like brothers because I believe in honor, and James is an honorable person, and I believe that what he says, he's not lying, and I know that he's a genuine person. It don't matter what you believe in. If you're a genuine, honorable person, I would rather be friends with somebody, even though I don't believe in the same things or different beliefs, friends with them than somebody it's the same belief and I don't like. That's just how it is. I see different. I'm more of an honor system. I have honor for people. I probably should have been born in another era, so it should James. Because we live in this era where there's not a lot of honor and a lot of dignity and a lot of people who are being honest. They're just worried about themselves and only care about themselves. I get it. This is the way life is. You can't change it. But that's how I live my life. And I'm different than most people. I have to be dying to go to the hospital. So these 2 times I've almost did die. It could have happened. But you know what? The way I look at it, I was looking at if I die, I die. I'm not afraid of death. I'm not afraid of anything. The only thing I was afraid of is leaving my fiance and my kids and my friends. That's the only thing that scares me. What's going to happen to them? But I don't want to get into that. That has nothing to do with the show. But at least you know where I stand, guys. I'm an honest person. That's why people like me. Either like me or don't. But I don't lie. There's no point to it. So I try to tell people. People are going to say, oh, you're crazy. You're probably on morphine or something because you're all drugged out. I wasn't. I wasn't drugged out when I got home. I know what I see. I've been seeing this purple thing for a while, so it's really weird looking. But whatever I have in it it runs away. It isn't as powerful. So whatever I have in me doesn't like it. That's what I meant. And it runs away and it doesn't want to deal with it. The whole thing is I noticed these last couple weeks I was having weird dreams. Like when I was sick, I was having weird dreams. It wasn't like bad dreams, but they just didn't make any sense. So I was starting to maybe I was passing on because I kept having these weird dreams. And after I had it, I had some weird dreams, but I could have died. If I would have waited another day, it would have blown up. And what you guys don't realize is when appendicitis blows, it could get poisoned through your body. Unless you're in the hospital right then or getting there, you're going to be in a world of trouble. There's like a 60% chance of dying or higher because you get the infection in you, and they have to clean your whole insides out. Don't want to get into that. So this was an unexpected thing. Anybody can get appendicitis. So most of the time it happens for people 10 to 35, 40. So it happens. We don't even use it anymore. It's a pointless part of your body. We used to use it when we didn't have cooking raw. We were eating raw foods because it would break it down better. But we don't even use that part of our body no more. So, but it sucks because if it gets infected like it did with me, it can kill you if it blows. It's like a ticking time bomb. You just have to get to it. To a point was mine was infected so bad is when they cut it, it opened. And so they had to put a drain on it to drain all the stuff out. That's why I don't want to get too graphic because we're a PG. I'm better now, guys. Thank you. I did have some paranormal experiences. I felt like I seen stuff around this hospital, but it's a hospital, so there's a lot of people have passed away. And another thing is when the baby's born, they have like this bell it hits. It's really funny. Like they play this baby song. It was cool. I got a kick out of that. It was a really nice hospital. It sucked being in the house, not being able to do nothing for 2 weeks. Now I can. I feel better, but I don't hope that anybody. So if you remember, if your right side hurts really bad, remember that's probably your appendicitis or it's your gallbladder. But that's what I ended up having. Wasn't fun. Wasn't a great experience. One of the most painful things I've ever dealt with. It wasn't what I thought was going to happen if I got appendicitis. It was exactly what I've heard. I thought it was going to be god awful painful. It was. It was only painful the last day before they started giving me medicine. And then when I got it out, it was like the stupid tube in me was the most irritating thing. And using the restroom, that wasn't fun either. But other than that, I'm fine. I had a couple experiences. I think I got rid of it. I haven't been able to do a lot of ghost hunting because before that, like a couple weeks before that, I got sick. So it happens. You have these couple months, it happens. You get in a rut and then you got to get out. Soon we could go do something soon with doing some ghost. There's a couple things coming up I've been hearing we're going to do, and it's going to be exciting for you guys for Tales of the Abyss. And I hope we can do that for you so I can, go figure out what the hell is out there. That's what my thing is, to see if this stuff improve that this is real. But I do believe from me doing some of this stuff, I think all of us have got something with us. And I have to be not as careless as I was because it can get me. And I seen it. There's something that was trying to kill me. And I don't care what anybody thinks, it happened. And I think it was trying to kill me while I was weak, and it didn't work. Whatever it is something, there's a reason I'm here. Because I'm still here. I'm talking on the show, so that means there's a reason I'm still here. I wasn't meant to go yet. And that's a good thing for you guys and me and my family and friends and James, because we wouldn't be doing the show probably now. You might be doing my memorial show, and I don't want that. So I'm glad it didn't burst and I ended up in real trouble. And I'm glad I didn't get attacked because I knew what was happening when I was on the couch. And then after a while, it went away and it was really funny. After I saged the house, it all went away. So there was something that followed me. Maybe it followed me when I went in, because there's so many spirits and stuff in the hospital that when I went in, it could have tried to jump in my body. So I don't remember other than going into the operating room. I forget after that, and I woke up outside the waiting room after the surgery. So I don't remember that. That's one thing. When I went to sleep, I was out. No dreaming. I don't remember anything. That's all I could tell you guys. I hope you enjoyed my little story about me being sick. I feel a little better now. I got most everything out. Just need a couple more weeks of healing, and then I'm done. That's all I wanted to let you know, guys. And I love you. Go ahead, James.
You have to be so careful whenever you do what we do. For those that have seen Tales from the Abyss and who follow the show, you know that we don't do normal places. We're not a show that goes to a supposed haunted house and the highlight of the show is you hear a knock or get one little EVP or something. That's not what we do. If we are going to a place or we are helping somebody, it is because it has reached the point to where there is real physical danger to the people there. A family is being attacked, or a location has gotten to the point where it is so dangerous that people are dying there. Those are the kind of places that we go to. Because we deal with those kind of cases all the time, we have a much higher percentage of cases that end up being demonic than many other groups do. I don't really look at us honestly as a paranormal group. We're not ghost hunters. We don't go and do the normal paranormal thing. If I had to classify what we do, that's not where I would put us. More than anything else, we help people. We're the cavalry. Okay, when all else fails and things are getting real bad, you call in the cavalry and they come in and save your ass. That's us. That's what we do. And I'm not trying to hype us up and, oh, look how great we are. I don't give a damn about any of that. I'm sure if you listen to this show for any period of time, you know that. But the reason I say that is because when you are dealing with demonic entities, okay, either demons or the demon's helpers, such as wraiths and stuff like that, it is a whole nother level of danger. And if you go into that not prepared, and if you do not double check everything and make absolute sure that you are not being attached to, that nothing is leaving with you, if you don't be hyper vigilant, you're in a world of hurt. And if you go into a situation like that without the proper personnel, you are also in a world of hurt. On my East Coast team, we have an exorcist, a ordained exorcist. That is his job. He is there to make sure that we all come home safe. And if anything attaches to any one of us at any point, he's there to make sure that that gets taken care of and to help us. I'm a firm believer, not only in God, but also in the armor of God. Now, I'm sure even the pagans in the audience and the non-believers, the atheists, everybody who doesn't believe, I'm sure that even you guys have all heard of the armor of God. But a lot of people don't really understand what that means. It's not just poetic language. It's not just something that was written in an old dusty book thousands of years ago. The armor of God is something that spiritually you put on, just like you would put on a suit of armor. Okay, it's like the breastplate of righteousness, the belt of truth. It is using the Lord to protect you, to act as your armor. Now, it's not as simple as just saying, get out of here in Jesus' name. You can invoke the name of Jesus, and it will work with a lot of things if you have faith. But the armor of God is an entirely different thing. We are going into battle. Make no mistake about that. Now, if you're going into battle, you've got to be in good shape. Okay, if you're going to go fight in a ring or you're going to go fight on the street or wherever, you can't be a big fat tub of lard who never gets out of the chair, because you're not going to have any stamina, you're not going to have any wind, and you're going to get your ass handed to you. Plain and simple. You're not going to win most fights. Especially if that fight goes on for any length of time, you're toast. Now, it is important for us to be in good physical condition to do what we do, because there's a lot of walking and running and chasing and that kind of thing involved. But even more important than that is spiritually, we have to be in good shape. The way you do that is by being an honorable and righteous person. You cannot be a person that lies to everybody, cheats, abuses people, hurts people, You can't be a sneaky, conniving, bad person and have any hope of protecting yourself against these things. It's just not going to happen. In order to put on the armor of God, you've got to try to live your best life. You have to be somebody that's worthy of putting on the armor of God. Now, when I say that, do not misunderstand me. I am not trying to say that I, as a Christian, am better than you as a pagan. That's not what I'm saying at all. I am a sinner, just like you. I am not worthy of heaven, just like you. I deserve to burn in hell for all eternity, just like you. We all do. None of us are worthy. The only thing that makes me different as a Christian is I have accepted the free gift of salvation that God has offered us. It's not because I'm better. But the act of living a better life and being a more righteous person, studying the Bible, learning about these things is important. Now you can be an atheist, or you can be a pagan, or you can be whatever you want, and you can go mess around with normal ghosts and everything, and that's fine and dandy. But if you're going to mess with demons, you better come correct, as they say. You got to know what you're talking about, and you got to know what you're doing, and you better have the creator of the universe on your side. Because these things are dangerous, man. They will rip you up, chew you up, and spit you out. And I would not be at all surprised if a lot of the problems that Old Boy has been directly because of the demonic things that we've faced. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Even me as a believer and somebody who studies extensively the Bible and a lot of the lost gospels and a lot of these ancient texts, and I try very hard to be the best person I can. I'm an honest person. I'm a good person. I help a lot of people. Even me can still be attacked. I've told the story on this show before about how I got lit up by a swarm of black hornets that appeared out of nowhere. There was all of a sudden a gigantic hornet's nest on the side of my house where just the day before there was no hornet's nest. I had never had, and I've lived here for a long time, I've never had anywhere on my property, and I have a 30-acre property. I've never had not a single hornet's nest on my property in all the years I've ever lived here. And since that attack, I have not had a single hornet's nest on the property since. But for some reason, all of a sudden there's a hornet's nest there that I don't see, that's underneath some creeper vine that I'm trying to take off of the building. And I get lit up and I almost die. Now, I've been stung a lot in my life. I'm an outdoors person. I hunt, I fish, I do survival. I spend weeks at a time in the woods or the swamps. And I've been stung a lot. I've been stung by hornets. I've been stung by yellow jackets. I've been stung by all manner of bees. And I've never even so much as swelled. Never even had like the little tiny swelling where it's itchy, and none of that. I get stung, it hurts for a couple minutes, and then I'm fine. That's the way it's always worked my entire life. But for whatever reason, this time, and I didn't get stung a bunch of times. I got tagged twice, that's it, before I was able to escape. But I almost died. It was extremely close. I swelled up to the point where my head looked like that dude Chunk off the Goonies. Do you remember that movie? That, hey, you guys, that dude? That's what I looked like within like half an hour of getting stung. I drove myself to the hospital. It took them 5 hours to stabilize me. I was at the brink of death for a long time. I have no memory of that entire 5 hour period. It's just gone. It's a blank space in my mind. I don't remember any of it because I was that out of it. I was almost dead. Never in my life have I had a bad reaction to bee stings at all. And like I said, hundreds, maybe even 1,000 or more times I've been stung by bees. Never bothered me. That very well could have been an attack. Because see, that's the way demons work. People think that it's like a horror movie. It's like what you see when you when you sit down with popcorn to watch a scary movie. That all of a sudden you're messing with demons, and this demon's going to come out of the shadows in your house, and he's going to be red and have horns, and he's going to rip you to pieces. That's not how it works in reality. In reality, you go on one of these things and you face off with a demon and you do what you got to do, and then you're driving home and a semi runs you over, just plows into your car, or a train hits you, or a deer jumps out in front of you and you hit the deer and it goes through your windshield and kills you, or you develop a sickness and you die that way or almost die that way, or even worse, God forbid, somebody in your family ends up paying the price and getting really sick and dying. I mean, I had my own father who got a very bad infection out of nowhere and almost died. He was so close. He was delirious. He was seeing weird things, and he was hearing voices talking to him from the walls and all kinds of crazy stuff. And my father has never had mental illness in his life, and he still doesn't. But something happened with him, and it was very close. He was laying on his deathbed in the hospital, still half delirious. And the exorcist from my team actually went to visit him in the hospital just to pay respect, and prayed with him and anointed him. And then very next day, my father's kidneys began to work again. And he's alive and well now. And he's doing really well. I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think that that's by accident. So even somebody like me, who knows what to do, who has personnel on site that can protect us, there's still a risk. If you're going out there on these things and you're not a believer and you don't have somebody with you that is trained to be able to handle this, who is, such as our exorcist or somebody like that, you are asking for trouble. And I know that there's going to be people out there who are going to argue with that and are going to get pissed off at me about that, and that's okay. You are entitled to your opinion. But from somebody who does this all the time for a living, who has faced off with demons, who has been there in the trenches fighting these things, I can tell you from personal experience, it is the single most dangerous thing you can do on any hunt is to run into a demon. Now, luckily for most people, it's something that might happen once in their life. If they're going out doing investigations a lot, they might run into a demon once. A lot of you will never run into a demonic entity of any type. You will have some malevolent spirits. You will have some ghosts who are real dicks, who will really try to mess with you. But the overwhelming majority of you will never have to deal with anything demonic, because it's not as common as people make it out to be. I know it's the popular thing now, and it seems like every other show on TV is always talking about demon this, demon that. But in reality, it's not very common at all. Demonic possession is so rare that if you are somebody who works these demon cases all the time, like we do, you might see one, maybe two cases of demonic possession in your entire life. It is a very rare thing. Demonic attachments are a lot more common than possessions, but even demonic attachments are rare. The majority of the times when somebody thinks they have a demonic attachment, they don't. It's other things. But when this is what you do, when you primarily focus on dangerous cases like this, there's going to be a lot higher percentage of demon activity that you're going to deal with. And once again, I'm not saying that to brag or to make us look like badass superheroes, because we're not. We are people that are called to do what we do. That's the best way I can explain it. This is what we were put here for. And I love the fact that Old Boy talked about how he's still around, that he didn't die, because it wasn't time for him to die yet. There was still something he was supposed to do. Whether he realizes it or not, I believe, and this is my own personal opinion, I believe that Old Boy is called to do this as well. I believe that is the reason God put Old Boy on this planet. That is the reason why God put me and Old Boy together, so that our paths would cross, was because this is what we're supposed to be doing. Now you might say, well, that doesn't make any sense, James. Old Boy's not a Christian. He's a pagan. He's a witch. So how the hell can God use him? God uses imperfect people for his perfect plan. I am not a perfect person by any means. I'm just as imperfect. I have a past as well. I was not always the man I am today. Probably in a lot of ways, I was worse than Old Boy when I was younger. And that's not saying Old Boy's a bad guy, because he's not. I love Old Boy. For a pagan, he is a very, very honorable man. And I don't mean that as a dig. I mean that as a compliment. I would give my life for that man. I would die for him. That's the kind of love I have for him. But God uses us all to carry out his plan. And I believe, all the way down deep in the core of my being, I believe that Old Boy is called to do this. And I think that if you were to ask Old Boy and he was to be honest about it, I believe that he knows that as well. Now, he might argue whether it's God or not that's calling him, but I think that he knows that he's called to do this as well. Because it's just this overwhelming feeling inside that you just know that this is what you got to do. Nothing excites you more, nothing gets you revved up more than the idea of getting down there on the battlefield and duking it out with these things. Most people, when they go to a place that's so frightening that the average person would scream and cry and run away within 5 minutes of walking through the door. Most people, when they come to a place like that, their natural instinct is to get the hell away. Get as far away as possible, as quick as possible. But for me, and I'm sure for Old Boy as well, that is not our instinct. Whenever I come to a place like that, my first thought is I got to get in there. I got to get in there and find out what's in there and do something about it. That's the way I think. Now, I'm not saying there isn't fear, because anybody that tells you that they're never scared is a damn liar. There are moments when there is fear. Most of the time with me, honestly, it's fear for my team, for the people I'm with. I mean, I'm the guy that when we did that one investigation where the spirit of the murderer was holding its victims hostage, their spirits hostage, and torturing them. That was the one we did out in the woods where it was throwing rocks from the sky at us and all kinds of crazy stuff. If you haven't seen that episode of Tales, check it out. It's pretty amazing. We ended up crossing those two women over, and they found peace, and we got them away from that guy. And he was extremely pissed off about it. And he tried to take us out. He was chucking rocks and stuff at us. Our cameras ended up completely running out of battery because we were recording a long, long time. But at the end there's rocks flying everywhere, and he's chucking stuff at us, and it's getting pretty hectic. And then there's all these crazy screams that started coming from the woods. And about that time is when the batteries died. That was an extremely interesting investigation, and we really did good work that day. I was really, really proud of that, because we helped those ladies and finally freed them so they could have peace. I'm the guy that ran up in the woods after that thing. That's the point I was making. Instead of running away from that danger, I ran straight into it. Okay, now that doesn't make me unique. It doesn't make me a superhero. But it does make me different. It's the same thing that drives police officers and firefighters and soldiers who will run into danger to save people It's the exact same thing. They are called to do it as well. And I believe that if you're called to do something, then you have to take that step out in faith and trust in God and do what you're called to do. Because if he's calling you to do it, he will put the proper people in your path, and he will give you the tools that you need in order to accomplish what you're supposed to accomplish. And that's kind of how I live my life. I step out in faith, and I don't ever question why I should be doing something. If I feel called to do it, I do it. And I don't ever listen to people when they tell me it's impossible. Because people have told me things are impossible my entire life. I was not supposed to be who I am. I was not supposed to be where I am and doing what I'm doing if you would have listened to all the people that tell you things are impossible. I was born in a very small town in the mountains of Virginia. My people are very, very poor mountain people. One side of my family lived in the mountains for as far back as we can trace, all the way back to the Native American tribes, and never really had two nickels to rub together. Growing up, we would eat a lot of spam and spaghetti and stuff like that because there wasn't a lot of food. There wasn't a lot of money. When I first left home and went out to make my mark in the world, there was years of my life where literally if I did not hunt and fish and gather wild edibles, I didn't eat. I have literally lived off the land because I had no money for food. There was times when I didn't even have, not only did I not have money for food, I didn't even have money to keep the damn heat going and the lights on in the house. There was times I sat in a cold house, wrapped up in my jacket and blankets, freezing, so cold I could see my breath because I couldn't afford to heat the place. And I went from that to where I am now. And I didn't do it because I was lucky. I didn't do it because I won the lottery. I worked my ass off. I did the impossible, what everybody said couldn't be done. My dream was always to write. I have always loved writing. It's one of the things that I was called to do. But it's a monumental task. And anybody will tell you, whether it's counselors or your parents or anybody like that in a position of power when you're growing up, if you say, I want to be a writer, they'll say, don't do that. Are you stupid? Nobody makes it. Very few people make any money writing. It's a sucker's game. You're going to end up broke. They tell you the same thing if you want to be a rock star or be an actor or whatever. The odds against you actually making a living are astronomical. But I didn't listen. I did it anyway because I felt called to do it. And I ended up with 4 novels that made the bestseller list. And I've made a nice little career out of it. I decided to get into radio because I was doing a lot of interviews for my books and I was good at it. And somebody offered me a spot on a show and said, hey, why don't you come on and be on the show with me? And I said, cool. Now, I could have listened to the people that told me, don't do that. You don't have any experience in radio. You're not going to be able to do this. People go to school for this. There's no way that you're going to walk in off the street and be successful in radio. It's just not going to happen. I could have listened, but instead I felt called to do it, so I did it. And here we are today. We're in 39, 40 countries. I don't know how many countries we're in now, a lot. We're heard all over the world. And we're a fairly successful radio show. We're not the greatest radio show out there, but I think nobody does what we do. So my general message today because I know I'm going on a long time and we need to start to wrap up a little bit. But my general message to everyone listening today is twofold. One, be careful. And if you're messing around with stuff like demonic entities and demons, be extremely vigilant about the things in your life and realize that attacks come from all different angles. And you don't always know what an attack is when it's happening. And you could die. It's very serious. And secondly, is when you feel called to do something, when God has put something in your heart that this is what you're supposed to do, don't listen to anybody who tells you not to. Now, I'm not saying be stupid about it. Have a backup. Don't just quit your job and say, okay, now I'm going to be a star or whatever it is you feel called to do. Don't just quit your job and think that it's going to happen overnight, because it doesn't. You still got to work your ass off, and you still got to be able to eat while you're doing it. But if you truly feel in your heart that God is calling you to do something, listen and just do what God's calling you to do. If it's really something that He called you to do, it'll work out for you. It always does. So with that being said, I'm going to throw it back over to Old Boy and get his final sum up and everything, and then we'll move to shout outs.
Thank you, brother. So what we're trying to say is just try to be careful what you mess with, because it can come back. And this thing, people need to realize something. You are, here it is, because I see a lot of this. Oh, as soon as something said, one thing it has, people need to realize, not everything is about demons and is about the devil. That I've seen that on God. That's understandable. That's what you believe. But there's ghosts there that have nothing to do with any of this. I believe they just get trapped. And I believe because something bad happened to them. So I see a lot of people doing that. This first thing they start doing, judging us and, judging James because, oh, you believe that. That's your opinion. But like I said, the first thing is, please study what you're going to say before you say it, is what I'm saying. Look up stuff. Don't just say something and judge. If you're going to judge somebody, make sure you don't have your own skeletons in your closet. That's all I'm saying. But other than that, what he's trying to say is, look, James is a Christian. He's protected by God. But some people, believe is like he does. Just because he is doesn't mean the person next to him is. So he could still get you. He could get somebody to turn on you and go against you and still cause havoc. See, that's what people need to realize. They can get the person who doesn't in your life believe in God and go after you in other ways and destroy you. And, I know James believes that. And that's what happens when you're messing with these things. They follow you. I don't believe 100%, the same thing, but I do believe there's stuff that comes with this when you mess with this stuff. And I think over time, it doesn't matter how good you protect yourself. There's stuff that's just so strong, it's going to get past that. And you got to be careful, because it could get me in your weak times. When you're sick, you're not feeling yourself, you're not at 100%, it can get you. And I believe that. Even me can come to, even anybody really, it can come screw up your life. And I think some of it is because of that, because I have messed with certain things, in the graveyard and stuff like that. And some of these haunted places that have demons and ghosts and all that, shadow people, something has attached itself. And I had to fight it off. And it wasn't what people think. People think, oh, yeah, you're lying. You didn't have to fight anything. Well, you know what? I guess I just see things differently than you do, because there is stuff that is real like this. I do see this stuff. I'm sorry, when we get pictures of stuff and I can prove it, people, it doesn't look like that. And you could see, when you're on the shadow box, the spirit box, sorry, not shadow box, spirit box, and it talks to you. You can hear clearly it's talking to you. If you want to argue that, that's fine. That's your business. But there's stuff for these people who are going out. Please remember how dangerous this is. There's something that can attach you. That's why you've had bad things going on in your life. And I've noticed some people are and they're not getting it, and they still continuously go out because they think they're going to be famous or they know what they're talking about, and they really don't. And they're not as smart as they think they are, and they think because they've done this for a couple years or that's fine because you were trying to get on TV and try to get famous over money, or you're trying to be a show off. You don't really know what you're messing with, and that's why you're having issues in your life. And it doesn't have to get you in other ways. It can attack you other ways. It can go through your family. It can get you other ways. Remember that. You could blow your tire out of a car. It doesn't have to attack you personally. It can attack something around you and people around you. So remember that. You're not just worried about yourself. You need to worry about everybody around you when you do this. Do the right things, sage right, do prayer, whatever you believe in, pray to your goddess, whatever you believe, sage yourself. You know, that's what we all do. We pretty much all agree on that. It works. And other incense you use, rosemary. I know some people use frankincense and other stuff, you know, or read the Bible, or if you're, you know, whatever other religion you believe, if that helps you, then do it. So just protect yourself. That's all I'm saying. Make sure you're careful because things have happened. It's very crazy, and I've noticed it has happened, and it's not just me, it's with other people that's around me who does some of this stuff. And I want people to realize you can be attacked. So that being said, I want to thank all you guys from Para X Radio for listening to us. Like you said, 39 countries, 40 countries, whatever it is, they're all listening to us. They love the show. And I want to thank you guys. I'm glad I'm better. You know, I hope you guys, when you listen to this, you got to realize, you know, we're trying to help you. And we're not trying to tell people what to believe and how to, you know, what we know. I'm trying to tell you from my experiences and James' experiences. You guys want to look at stuff at the merchandise store, he'll tell you where to go, what to get, shirts, all kinds of stuff, you know, cups, iPhone cases, blankets, etc. He'll tell you where to go and what site to check out. If you want to subscribe to the channel, James Hershey Jr. YouTube page, subscribe. You can listen to all the newer and old episodes and even our side stories and stuff like that. How to survive zombie attacks, demons, different stories about demons. All our shows from Staring in the Abyss and Tales from the Abyss. Check it all out. It's all there. It's all free content forever. And you guys can always check it there. It will always be there. Even when we pass away, somebody will be running it. So it will be there forever. And I hope you guys have a great night. I love you guys. Sugar ladies, monster lovers, and demon hunters, and misfits. I probably did that all wrong because I haven't been used to doing it for a while. But I love you guys. Blessed be, and have a great night.
I think the problem, honestly, is some of these ghost shows. Back in the early days of the paranormal, you didn't have as many bad things happening to the people that were involved because mainly what you had is you had on one end, you had researchers, people that were basically almost scientists. That's how they approached things. And they were trying to scientifically prove that the paranormal existed. And you still have some of that. There are some ghost shows that still operate that way. A great example of this, I'll give you two off the top of my head. You have ghost hunters. They go with a very scientific approach. They try to rule things out and they try to scientifically prove that what the person's experiencing is actual paranormal activity. Then you also have the Dead Files. They have a more scientific approach as well, even though they don't really use science, but the one guy is a detective, the other one's the lady's a psychic, And so he's running down the case and trying to find evidence and facts, and she's dealing with the spiritual side. Not all of them are like that, unfortunately, though. I think the problem that has caused so many people to run into danger and not really be aware or realize what they're messing with are a lot of these shows that has some jackass who's out there provoking uh, supposed demonic entities, and essentially they're pretending to provoke demonic entities and talking a bunch of smack like they're some big tough guy, and then walk away like it's all good. That's not reality. That's If there's anything you take from tonight's show, that is not reality. A lot of those shows are completely set up. There's no actual stuff going on. It's all BS. Whenever they actually do run into real activity, a lot of those people run like little girls. Don't put your life at risk because you saw some jackass on TV do it. And you think, well, he went in there and talked all this crap to demons and he was cool. The truth of the matter is, guys, he didn't talk nothing to nobody. He walked into a room that was dark and pretended that there was something there, talked a bunch of smack to the air, and then pretended to be scared. That's what happened. The majority of the time, there's nothing actually going on there. Now, I'm not saying every show is like that. Okay, I've listed a couple tonight that are very good, and they actually try to find the truth. But I think that's the problem, is a lot of these people have got into this field because it was popular, and they're trying to make a buck, and they're trying to make a name, and they don't actually believe in the paranormal. They're not trying to research or prove anything. They're just trying to entertain. And usually that's what you're going to get anytime something gets popular, is you're going to have a bunch of fakes and wannabes that come in and try to make a buck off of it. And I'm not even against that, okay? I'm not even saying that's a bad thing most times. But the problem is that they've realized that talking smack to ghosts is good, but talking smack to demons gets more viewers. So now that's what they're doing, because demons are the big bad boys on the block. So they think, oh, I'll make myself look really cool. I'll talk like this to a demon. But in reality, you just don't do that. Because the reality of the situation is demons are actually real. And demons are way more powerful than you. In your own power, you will lose that fight 1 million times out of 1 million times. You will absolutely never win that battle in your own power. It is only the power of God that gives you the opportunity to try to help these people. And even then, you're not killing the demon. You're not going to kill it. It's still there. You can make it go away for a while. You can make it leave that person alone for the moment. But then the thing you don't see on TV is when you actually do an exorcism, the person that had the exorcism done has to be extremely careful for the rest of their life. It's not like they just go back to normal and everything's cool again. There is a strict regimen they have to follow. They have to do the exact right things all the time, or they're going to be in worse shape than they were before the exorcism, because that demon will come back. And not only will it come back, but the Bible says that when it comes back, it'll bring 7 more demons that are even stronger than it. So then that person is in way worse shape than they were in the beginning. So you don't see that in your horror movies or your ghost shows, do you? But that's the reality of the situation. Is once you put yourself in a position to where you have a demon attached to you, the rest of your life is a tightrope, trying to keep that thing away. If you're lucky enough to have somebody that knows what they're doing that can get rid of it in the first place. Because the majority of people out there who claim they can do it can't. Because they're going to tell you, I'm going to use crystals, or I'm going to say this chant to this nonsense thing, or whatever. It doesn't work. It's not reality. I will go on record right now as to say the only way that you're going to break a demonic attachment is with an ordained exorcist. You've got to have somebody that has the power of God that knows what the hell they're doing. Your new age healer guy who's going to burn incense and rub crystals on your butt and chant around and kill a chicken or whatever the hell they do, that's not going to work. You will not get rid of that demon, and you might end up with something else on top of it. Now, that's not a popular thing to say. And I don't mean to offend, and I apologize if I have offended you, but that is the truth. I don't want to see anybody's life destroyed. I don't want to see anybody's family hurt because they listen to some dummy on TV that don't know what they're talking about. So with that being said, I've gone on way too long. Thank you guys for listening. I greatly appreciate you checking out the show every week. I appreciate everybody on the YouTube channel who subscribes and listens to the show. The YouTube channel is youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. Please check it out and subscribe. Once again, thank you guys. I love you very much, and until we speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.